is naka, ano siya?
Lights, camera, action. Hindi natin alam kung totoo.
Ayan na.
Siyempre.
I-opening natin yun.
I-opening mo na para gawin yun.
Yun. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the City of Peg Watch, the Kuya Noel, and Tito Aldo Show. Magandang gabi sa iyo, Tito Aldo.
Yan, magandang gabi ko, Kuya Noel.
Bago natin simulan ang ating programa, siyempre, i-acknowledge muna natin ang ating lugar dito sa Manitoba. The City of Peg Watch acknowledges that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional gathering place of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and the traditional homeland of the Métis people. Every time we acknowledge this truth, we have an invitation and an opportunity to reflect on what we do and what we can do to make Manitoba a better place for everyone who lives here. Kinikilala ng The City of Peg Watch na tayo ay natitipon sa teritoryo ng Treaty 1, ang tradisyonal na lugar ng pagtitipon ng mga Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota at Dene, at ang tradisyonal na tinubuang bayan ng mga katutubong Métis. Sa tuwing kinikilala natin ang katotohanan ito, mayroon tayong isang paanyaya at isang pagkakataon na pagnilayan ang kung ano ang ating ginagawa at kung ano ang maaari nating gawin upang maging isang mahusay na lugar ang Manitoba para sa lahat ng mga naninirahan dito. And today is August 15 here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Magandang umaga sa Pilipinas.
Yes, good evening, especially to our Canadian viewers. Will Gold, good evening. Thank you for watching at a very early stage.
Yes. And are we ready for a snap election this coming September 20th? Early this morning, I was listening to the radio and on TV, wherein we waited the announcement of the Prime Minister for the dissolution of the Parliament. Ibig po sabihin nun, once the Parliament is dissolved, magkakaroon po ng call to a snap election, wherein he confirmed this morning that the snap election will be held on September 20. Ibig sabihin po nun, we will go to the polls again on September 20 para iboto ang ating mga representative sa Ottawa o yung pong members of the parliaments. At speaking of the election, tayo po ay naninirahan dito sa Winnipeg North area ng Winnipeg at nakausap po natin kanina ang dalawa sa mga kandidato sa Winnipeg North, isang conservative candidate na si Anas Kazam. Siya po ay nagkwentuhan kami over the phone because we are arranging a candidates forum for Winnipeg North. Simula pa lang yan, Winnipeg North. Maybe we will be doing
Hold on, Kuya Noel. Sorry, you're echoing. If you can turn off your cell phone, yes. Or mute down your cell phone.
Yeah, it's turned off now.
Okay.
Am I still good?
Go ahead.
Okay na?
Go ahead, Kuya Noel.
Okay, all right. So as I was saying, sorry about that technical sound issue, ladies and gentlemen. As I was saying, I was talking to Enos Kazam, who is the Winnipeg North federal candidate of the Conservative Party. He agreed to participate in our candidates forum. The date and time will be announced soon. Of course, you will be seeing it here at the Kuya Noel and Tito Aldo show. We will have a special coverage for that candidates forum. Are we okay, Tito Aldo?
Go ahead, Kuya Noel. I'm just checking the audio.
Okay, so okay lang po yung audio natin, mga kapatid. Just let me know kung kayo po ay may mga problema sa pag listening to me. Are we all good?
There is a little bit echo still on our end, on your monitor.
Oh.
Yeah.
All good now. It's turned off actually, my cell phone.
Go ahead, Ken. I'll just keep going.
Okay, so we're good.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we will have a candidates forum for the Winnipeg North candidates. We're just waiting for the confirmation from the incumbent, Kevin Lamru. Riz sent him an email and texted him.
At hinihintay lang po natin ang kanyang tugon. Maririnig nyo rito, live at the Kuya Noel and Tito Aldo Show special edition for a candidates forum for the Winnipeg North contenders para po sa ating eleksyon sa September 20.
We will be talking about issues happening in Winnipeg North and national issues na pwede nating pag-usapan on economy, on immigration policy. Yan po yung mga federal issues na dapat nating malaman. And also, we will ask them about their views on what's happening now in Afghanistan. As you may have heard in the news, a few hours ago, it is now official that the Taliban group has entered the presidential palace. Kasi po nakakalungkot dahil yung presidente po ng Afghanistan ay umalis na nung bansa nila, no? At yun po, hindi natin alam ang mga kaganapan dun sa Afghanistan. It's still a developing story out there, and the US government is still arranging the evacuation po ng mga US citizens doon, yung mga nagtatrabaho sa embassy para mailikas sila. At the same time, this morning it was announced by the Prime Minister himself before he announced the snap election na I just received a text message from Kevin Lamuru. Hello, Noel. When were you thinking? Okay, Kevin, I will text back to Kevin later on after the show. But so almost we got the confirmation from the three Winnipeg North candidates, Kevin Lamru, Enos Kazam, and Melissa Chang Mowat for the candidates forum po. Pag-uusapan natin ng mga issues happening here in this riding. So, Afghanistan issue, no? Pinag-uusapan natin kanina na sinabi rin ni Prime Minister Justin Trudeau kaninang umaga na nakakalungkot yung nangyari sa Afghanistan, and we are looking after our troops there, lalong-lalo na yung mga nagtatrabaho sa Canadian Embassy sa Afghanistan, at yung mga, kung meron pa tayong mga troops doon, aalis na po. So may mga usap-usapan na para daw siyang nangyari na Saigon. Bumalik na naman yung Saigon dahil iniwan ng US troops ang Afghanistan, at simula nga nun sinakop na nung maraming probinsya. In just a matter of few days ay nasakop na po ng Taliban group ang maraming probinsya sa Afghanistan. At ngayon po, just a few hours ago, it was confirmed by Al Jazeera News. I was monitoring that the presidential palace was now pinasok na. It was taken over by the troops of Taliban. So let's watch out for that development as well. Although we are not there, of course, but we are watching because this will affect also what's happening in North America, especially here in Canada and in the United States. Okay, ayos ba yung natin, mga issue natin, Tito Aldous? Okay lang tayo? Yes, loud and clear at magandang lalaki, syempre, yung video natin. Okay lang tayo dyan, okay lang ating audio, Tito Aldous? Okay. So if you are experiencing any audio issue, just let us know po. Kung okay lang tayo para hindi at naririnig niyo yung mga pinagsasabi namin dito sa ating show ngayong gabi. Okay. Pagkape muna tayo habang tayo ay isa pang issue. Ano pang ibang issue natin? Sa Pilipinas po, kaninang umaga rito sa Canada, sa Winnipeg, nabalitaan ko as early as 6 o'clock in the morning here, which is, I believe it was 6 p.m. already in the Philippines. Confirm po, may COVID-19 si Yorme, si Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso. At siya po ngayon, siya po kanina ay pinadala sa hospital, San Lazaro Hospital if I'm not mistaken. So we're also watching the everything's good, Tito Aldous? Okay.
Sige naman, minimute ko yung sarili ko kasi nag-feedback sa akin.
Alright, so yeah, as I was saying, we are also watching what's happening in the Philippines. And dahil syempre Pilipino tayo, but we are focusing today on issues happening here in Winnipeg. We had an interview with Councilor bahay on Roblin Boulevard. And in order to move that house, they need to cut mature trees on the boulevard, which was very frustrating to watch and was very annoying to watch among the especially those who reside in the area. At nagreklamo nga po si Councilor Kevin Klein dito sa forestry, and until now, he is, as per my interview with him last Friday, he is still waiting for an answer from forestry kung nakasuhan po at kung ano yung status ng kaso, kung meron man ang naibigay dun sa moving company na to. And also he provided us with an update on what's happening at City Hall, yung pong mangyayari sa Portage Place. If you live in Winnipeg, you know very well that there will be a development happening in Portage Place. Ito po yung PP na tinatawag ng mga Pilipino, Tito Aldous. Pagka sinabing PP, pugad ng mga Pilipino. Portage Place po. It is, alam naman natin, if you work downtown or if you live close to downtown, you know what I'm saying. Portage Place is not a good place to make tambay, as you know very well. Ang dahil po mga crimes dyan, dahil po dyan, i-redevelop, no? Gagawin siyang isang magandang, I don't know, is a center or a mixture of everything, which will provide something new or something exciting to the vibrant downtown Winnipeg. However, there are some challenges in terms of funding. The city has already committed millions of dollars for the development of Portage Place. At the province as well, I believe that they also committed some funds. But the developer is also waiting from a support from the federal government. Kaya hindi matuloy-tuloy ito, project na to, dahil naghahantay pa ng mga suporta from the different, from the federal government particularly. So, hintayin po natin yung development on in terms of Portage Place, ang tagpuan ng mga magagandang lalaki. sa Winnipeg. All right. And also, aside from the Portage Place, meron pong isang mini release para akong nagbabalita talaga mga nangyari last week, no? There was an RFP issued by the City of Winnipeg. RFP stands for Request for Proposal for ito naman po yung pagpapagawa ng Portage and Main. As you may recall, back in the civic elections, aside from voting the mayor and the city councilors and the school trustee, there was also a plebiscite, di ba? Tinanong po tayo, would you like to open the intersection of Portage and Main? Na kung saan po natalo ang yes, nanalo ang no, kaya hanggang ngayon sarado pa yung Portage and Main. However, yung membrane po noon, yung kalye mismo, no, deteriorating na. Pagka umuulan doon, kawawa yung mga doon, Tito Aldous, yung mga establishment sa baba. Dahil pagka lumakas ang ulan doon, kumakatas yung tubig. So it needs a major repair. Kaya po ang City of Winnipeg ay umaksyon na para masimula na or at least magkaroon na ng mga initial steps towards the development of Portage and Main, especially the improvement of the membrane po, yung pinaka-flooring niya doon sa intersection na to. And this will help the business operators in the area. So isa pa yun na diniscuss namin with diniscuss ko with the Councilor Kevin Klein that you will be hearing or listening mamaya po. I-play natin yung ating interview with him. Okay, so yun, mga balita natin, no? Tapos meron pa tayong balita. Kung kayo ay babalik tayo dun sa federal election. If you are not familiar with your candidates, meron po tayong website dyan. All you need to do is to, of course, Google nyo who are the candidates in my area. At meron tayong, Tito Aldous, meron tayong tinatawag na parang para mo malaman sa sarili mo kung ano ang lineage mo. Halimbawa, sa mga issues ng immigration, economy, merong survey na online. Natatanungin ka ron, there's no right or wrong answer. Pagka sinagot mo siya, isa-isa, no, pagdating dun sa summary, meron dun na magiging result at sasabihin sa'yo kung ano ang leaning mo. Leaning ka ba ng NDP, liberal o conservative? Pero yun, hindi naman sinasabi na yun na ang iboboto mo. Kumbaga, magkakaroon yung survey na yun ay matutulungan ka on how to decide pagdating po ng eleksyon. At ang tinutukoy ko po ay yung Vote Compass. Gusto kong pakita sa inyo ito mga kaibigan. I-share ko yung screen ko, Tito Aldous. I will share my screen and gagawa tayo ng mock survey so that you will be able to at least know how it works. No po? Napakadali lang naman ito. I will just share my screen, Tito Aldous. Share natin yung screen natin. And let's do this survey. Yan. Nakikita nyo na po yan. Diba na? So ito yung Vote Compass website. So nandito yung mga leaders of different parties. Po si Justin Trudeau, Liberal, Erin O'Toole, Jagmeet Singh, Black Quebecois, Green Party, and People's Party, si Bernier. So kung nakikita nyo po sa screen yan, babasahin ko sa inyo, Vote Compass is a tool developed by political scientists for exploring how your views align with those of the parties. So ibig sabihin sa political spectrum kung nasaan yung mga paniniwala mo, depende po dun sa mga isasagot nyo. So all you need to do, so far, as of today, 71,536 na po ang sumagot dito sa magandang platform na to. No? So let's get started. Madali lang to. Halimbawa, i-ask po kayo, you will be asked of your postal code. So I will type in here my postal code. Malalaman nyo kung saan ako nakatira. Yeah. 0R7. So sabi dito, selected riding is Winnipeg North. Okay? So you will start your survey. Need to is to click that. Tapos tatanungin ko rito, siguro Tito Aldus, mag-ano tayo, yung salitan tayo ng sagot dito. There's no right or wrong answer. Kasi hindi naman ito yung talagang ginagawa lang natin to provide our audience with the tool na pwede nilang maggamit bago sila bumoto, no? Bago sila pagdating ng September 20, at least they know, at least meron silang idea kung saan ang lineage nila, kung sa conservative sila, sa NDP, sa liberal, sa Black Quebecois, etc. So gagawin natin dito, Aldus. Yung unang question sa akin, susunod sa'yo, and then so on and so forth. Salitan tayo ng sagot na.
Sige, Kuya Noel.
Okay. So, una natin dito. Unang tanong, mga kaibigan. Ako ang sasagot nito. Canada's human rights laws should require that transgender people be referred to by their chosen gender pronouns. Ano big sabihin yan? Yung mga transgender daw be referred by their chosen gender pronouns, like yung mga queer ang tawag sa kanila, not her and him, kundi they, di ba? So yung reference to sa gender nila. So ang sagot ko dyan somewhat agree. Next question for Tito Aldu. Sagutin mo to. People
should be required to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination in order to attend public events.
Ano sagot mo dyan, Tito Aldo?
Ano ba yung choices na dito, Kuya Noel? Hindi ko masyado makinig.
Strongly agree, somewhat agree, neutral, somewhat agree, strongly disagree, or you don't know?
Strongly agree. Meron ba tayong strongly agree dyan?
Meron.
Ayun.
Okay, next. Ako sasagot nito. How much should Canada do to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions? Much more, ang sagot ko dyan. Next, Tito Aldus. How many immigrants should Canada admit? Ang iyong choices, many fewer, somewhat fewer, about the same as now, somewhat more, many more.
Somewhat more.
Ayun. Next question for me. Only those who speak both English and French should be considered for top jobs in the federal government. Definitely, ang sagot ko ay strongly disagree. Ikaw naman, Tito Aldus, basa.
All Canadians should have access to government-funded prescription drugs. Yan, strongly agree dyan for sure.
Strongly agree. Okay. Next. Some provinces pay more than their fair share to support the rest of the country. Okay, so dito lang ako sa neutral dyan. Next.
How much money should the federal government give the Canadians whose employment was disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic? Ano yung choice dyan, Kuya Noel? Hindi ko masyado makita.
Much less, somewhat less, about the same as now, somewhat more, much more, or you don't know.
Neutral. Same as now.
Same as now. Okay, next. How much should wealthier people pay in taxes? Yung mga mayayaman dyan, mas marami ba dapat silang i-pay na taxes? Ang sagot ko dyan ay much more. Ito, Albus,
Canada should decriminalize possession of illicit drugs for personal use.
Strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, neutral, somewhat agree, or strongly
I'll go for neutral.
Agree. Neutral. Next, how much of a role should the private sector have in healthcare? Parang privatization yan Ako dyan ay somewhat less. Okay, next.
Quebec should be formally recognized as a nation in the Constitution.
Strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, neutral, somewhat agree, or strongly agree?
Somewhat agree.
Somewhat agree. Next, how much should the federal government make individual Canadians pay for every ton of greenhouse gas they emit through fossil fuel consumption? Ang sagot ko dyan ay somewhat less.
How much should the Canadian government do to make amends for its past treatment of indigenous people? Naku, very sensitive
much
ito.
Less, somewhat less, about the same, somewhat more, much more.
I'll go neutral dito.
Neutral, so about the same.
Yeah.
Okay, next. How much should the Canadian government spend on police services? Napakahalaga niyan. much less, somewhat more, much more. Ako, much more. Kailangan natin maraming police. Next, Tito Aldous.
The federal government should give priority to visible minorities when hiring. I strongly agree yan.
Ayun, syempre, visible minority tayo. Next, how much say should indigenous peoples have over how Canada's natural resources are used? Yung pagpapahalaga sa role ng mga katutubo, much more ang sagot ko dyan.
How accessible should abortion services be across Canada?
Naku, isang anong issue yan, Tito Aldous, bago mo sagutin. Ito po yung mga Pilipino dyan, kultura natin, syempre, laging sermon ni Monsignor yan. Ang tanong, how accessible should abortion services be across Canada? Ang iyong sagot, Tito Aldous? Much more, somewhat more, about the same, somewhat less, much less.
About the same tayo.
About the same. Okay, next. The federal budget deficit should be reduced even if it leads to fewer public services. Ay, neutral ako dyan. Next.
How much should be done to accommodate religious minorities in Canada? Naku, very sensitive lahat ito.
Much less, somewhat less, about the same, somewhat more, much more.
Doon ako sa about the same, Kuya Noel.
About the same, okay. Quebec should become an independent state. Ayun nga, strongly disagree. Dapat bahagi pala sila ng Canada. Next.
Canada should rename public spaces which are currently named after historical figures accused of racism.
Paliwanag lang na. Example, Bishop Grandin. Siya yung isa sa mga author ng residential school. Si John A. MacDonald, may mga slave siya nung araw. Ngayon, ang sagot niyo ba ay strongly disagree? Palitan natin, somewhat disagree, neutral, somewhat agree, or strongly agree.
Yan, strongly disagree ako dyan.
Okay, next. Canada should end its ties to the British monarchy. Alam mo yan, hindi ako masyadong fan ng royal family. So, should ko dyan, strongly agree. Let's end that. Next.
The federal government should guarantee a minimum income for all Canadian adults regardless of whether or not they have a job. Strongly agree ako dyan.
Strongly agree. Okay. Next. How high should a federal minimum wage be? Much lower, somewhat lower, much higher tayo. Next.
Canada laws against hate speech place too many limits on freedom of expression.
Strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, neutral, somewhat agree, or strongly agree.
Strongly agree ako dito.
Okay. Next, no new oil pipeline should be built in Canada. Ay, disagree ako dyan. Somewhat disagree.
How much control?
Go ahead.
How much control should the federal government have over what Canadians say online?
Much less, somewhat less, about the same, somewhat more, much more.
About the same, Kuya Noel.
About the same. Next, how much tax should large corporations pay? Taxan na malaki, much more. All
semi-automatic firearms should be banned in Canada. Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Okay, next. In your opinion, how has the federal government handled the COVID-19 pandemic overall? Ako ay somewhat well.
Do you approve or disapprove the Prime Minister's decision to call for an election?
Strongly disapprove, somewhat disapprove, neither approve nor disapprove, somewhat approve, strongly approve.
Sa gitna tayo, Kuya Noel.
Sa gitna.
Yan.
Next question. Will the Prime Minister's decision to call an election make you more or less likely to support his bid for re-election? Gigitna ako dyan.
Yan.
Regardless, regardless of the party you intend to vote for this election, in general, how likely are you to support the People's Party of Canada? Ito po yung key Bernier, dating conservative. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is not at all likely and 10 is very likely. Doon tayo sa 3. Hindi natin masyadong kalarin. How about Green Party? Doon tayo sa gitna siguro. Ito ay For demonstration purposes lang po to, ha. Hindi namin tunay na opinion to, ha. This is not our real opinion. We're just showing it to you for demonstration purposes so that you can use this tool, Vote Compass, when deciding who to vote on the election day. Okay. Regardless of the party, same question. NDP, I would go for 5. And then Conservative, I would go for 5 as well. And Liberal, I will go for 5. Okay. In your opinion, how likely is it that the people in your riding will elect the PPC or People's Party of Canada? Alam naman natin, we all know that PPC doesn't exist in Winnipeg North. So I'll put there 1. In your opinion, how likely is it that the people in Winnipeg North will elect Green Party? As far as I know, not sure if there's a candidate in Winnipeg North, so I'll put 2. In your opinion, how likely is it that the people in your riding will elect the NDP, who is Melissa Chang-Moat? So I would say there, maybe, malakas-lakas ng medyo popular, 7. In your opinion, how likely is it that in your riding, Winnipeg North will elect Anas Kazam or Conservative Party candidate? Siguro nasa 7 din. And ito, in your opinion, how likely is it that the people in your riding will elect or re-elect Kevin Lamoureux? I will put the same. 7. Pare-pare.
Yeah.
Next question. Si Superman ay nandyan. Justin Trudeau. How competent do you find Justin Trudeau? Nako, 0 to 10. Lagay tayong 5. How competent do you find Erin O'Toole? Hindi ko masyadong kilala eh. So 5 din tayo. How competent do you find Anna May Paul? Ito yung Green Party leader. Hindi ko siya kilala. 4 tayo. How competent do you find Maxime Bernier? Ito yung nahuli dahil nag-organize ng mga anti-mass rally. So, tayo. How competent do you find Jagmeet Singh? Baka mahalataan nyo yung leaning ko. Iyak. Again, this is only for demonstration purposes. How trustworthy do you find Anna May Paul? I don't know. How trustworthy do you find Maxime Bernier? I'll put a 4. And Erin O'Toole 5. Justin 5. Jagmeet Singh 5. Ayun na po. Ang tanong dito, if a federal election were held today, ngayong araw na ito, August 15, which party would you vote for? Undecided pa ako. Which party are you leaning toward? Ay, hindi pa ako. I don't know. Yeah? Which party did you vote for in the 2019 Canadian federal election? I will not tell you. Or, I did not vote. Okay. Male tayo. And then, what is your gender? Male then. What year I was born? 1988. Wali na nga. 1988. Yan. Alam niyo na edad ko, ha? What highest level of education that you have completed? Nasa college tayo. And then at any time since September, have you attended schools such as college, say, or university? No. Marital status, tayo po ay may... employment status, may full-time tayo. Religion is... where's Christian here? Christian. Christian... Select language, pero hindi sigurong i-type Tagalog. Tagalog. Ayun, Filipino. And then Philippines. Philippines. And then, hindi tayo First Nation. What year? Ako nagpunta rito. 1997. Okay. And then, are you First Nation? No. Hindi natin sagutin yan. Okay. Straight tayo. And then counting yourself, how many people live in your household? 4 kami. And then how many people living in your household under 15? Sabihin natin 0. Kunyari. Which of the following best describes your combined household income? Sabihin natin nasa mid-range lang siguro. Ganyan. And then in politics, people sometimes talk of left and right. Diba? Where would you place yourself on the scale below where 0 is left and 10 is right? Papaliwanag ulit natin. Tito Aldous, ito yung tinapaliwanag natin dati pa. This is what you call the political spectrum. if your lineage is on the left or on the right or you are in the center. So I'll put here medyo on the 4 tayo kunyari. Generally speaking, how interested are you in politics? Oh, very interested. And then what issue is most important to you in this election? I would say economy. And then, would you be willing to allow the makers of Vote Compass to occasionally contact you? No, don't contact me. And then next, malalaman natin. Ito na po, calculating the result na. Sino kaya ang iboboto ni Tito Aldus? Nako, Tito Aldus.
Sabi.
How much you agree with the parties? Ito po ang resulta. NDP 59%. So you are leaning towards NDP, Tito Aldus. 56% Liberal. Green Party 49%. Tapos ito yung political landscape or spectrum. Yung NDP, andito po yan sa kaliwa. Green nandito rin, medyo nasa left side. Liberal Party, mostly nasa center siya. Ito ikaw, Tito Aldus, at tayo, for demonstration purposes. Ito ka sa political spectrum, mas nasa kaliwa ka. So, base po doon sa mga questions na itinanong sa iyo at base po doon sa sinagot nyo, ito po yung resulta. Kung sino ang sa tingin ng survey na ito ay lineage nyo. Kayo po ay naka-leaning towards NDP. So, we're not saying that you will vote according dun sa sagot ng survey as the survey results, but this is a good tool, di ba? You can always go back to the questions, you can change your answers, or you can do it today, then do it again another day because your decisions might change, di ba? Your decisions on issues might change. For example, on abortion issue, after this conversation, maybe you will have a conversation with the Liberal Party member or a candidate who will provide you with information about pro-life or pro-choice. Then your decision will change. So the reason why we're giving this opportunity to you, this platform to you, is for your information and education as well before you go to the polls on September 20. At least you know the general questions related to the federal governance, and from there you can decide in advance. At pwede nyo baguhin yung inyong mga desisyon prior to the election day. Kasi mahirap nangyayari dito, Tito Aldus. Kadalasan ito, lalo na sa atin, because we are so preoccupied with our jobs, with all of our, mga activities natin, we are not aware of what's happening. Pagdating ng eleksyon, titira na lang tayo kung sino ang popular, which will compromise the governance, di ba? Kasi hindi tayo nag-aral, hindi tayo informed, hindi tayo, yung pagboto natin, hindi natin alam kung bakit natin binoto yung tao na yun. Based lang dun sa kilala natin siya, pero hindi based sa issue. So this election is very important. This snap election, ladies and gentlemen, is very important, especially to all of us Canadians, because as what the Prime Minister said, this is not only 17 months from now. This is 17 years from now and beyond. Nakasalalay dito ang future ng Canada. Nakasalalay dito ang future ng mga magiging anak natin, ang mga bagong papasok na new immigrants and mga refugees, especially from the Philippines. So, let's make this a very serious matter, a very important matter that we can discuss among the family members, among our community members, and regardless of our political leanings, this is a democratic process. This is our right, di ba? Isa sa mga karapatan po natin yan, ang karapatan bumoto. So again, that platform is called Vote Compass. You can Google it, and you can try answering those questions to help you decide before the election day comes.
Okay. Doon mula ako sa lighters. Iniisip ko yung Vote Compass na platform na yan. Kasi kung iba lang yung Kuya Noel. Yung Vote Compass na yan is pwede mo siyang gamitin sa immigration . Bago pupunta ka ng Canada, mga kababayan sa Pilipinas, bago po kayo pupunta sa Canada, no, i-assess nyo muna through your Volt Compass kung meron yung gumagawa po ng software po niyan. Pwede ba ako pumunta sa Canada o magstay na ba ako sa Philippines? Same thing yung pagdating mo dito sa Canada, maghahanap ka ng trabaho, yung Volt Compass na yan, just in case, pareho rin yung platform na yan, kung saan ka trabahong gustong pumasok.
Oh. No? Maganda yun. Kasi maganda yun. Yung Vote Compass can design a separate questionnaire.
Yes.
Which will serve as a pre-assessment for people who would like to come here to immigrate in Canada. Mm-hmm. 'Di ba? Meron silang questionnaire na antimano before applying. Maganda yan.
Same thing sa negosyo. Kung ano negosyo mo gustong pasukan, 'di ba? Yeah. Magaling gumawa ng platform na yan. Pero dito tayo sa Vote Compass pa rin. Iniisip ko lang habang salita ka.
Magandang punto siya. Diba? Magandang punto siya. At alam ko rin dun sa immigration website natin, meron ding questionnaire doon before you apply for immigration here in Canada. You will be asked questions and then they will tell you if you're qualified or not. Yeah. If not, then you have to fulfill the requirements before proceeding with your application. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, ang ganda po, no? Maganda yung Vote Compass na yun. If you have time, anytime today until the election day on the September 20th, you can check on that. Just answer it randomly. If you're not sure of the answer, there's no right or wrong answer. And you can go back to the same questions. At pagkaalam nyo na, kung sigurado na kayo sa sagot nyo, then you do it. And based from that, I'm not telling you to follow what the result would be, but at least you have a guidance and you are aware of the questions regarding what's happening in the federal governance. Ay, sarap ng kwentuhan natin, di ba? So, ang susunod po nating segment.
Umpisa pa lang po pala yung kaya namin, ano?
Oo, simula pa lang yun. Kasi ang kwentuhan natin talaga kay Kevin Kline. Alam ba si Kevin Kline? Ito, ibubulong ko sa inyo. Sabi niya, talagang, makapanood niyo mamaya, sabi niya, I am very grateful for the messages and calls that I've been receiving telling me to run for mayor. And well, I'm telling you this, I'm highly considering the running for mayor of Winnipeg. So, ayun. Speaking of mayor ng Winnipeg, alam naman natin, Tito Aldous, bago natin ipalabas si Kevin Kline, no? Si Brian Pallister nag-resign. Mm-hmm. Di ba last week? In-announce niya, Brandon, Manitoba. Nagkaroon ng caucus. At around late in the afternoon, I was listening over Hal Anderson's afternoon program on CJOB where it was aired live. And then the premier announced that he will step down as the Premier of Manitoba, which is tantamount to stepping down as MLA for Dwight. So, kailangan ngayon ito, para sa kalinawan ng mga kaibigan natin Pilipino, ano nga po ngayon na mangyayari? So, the Progressive Conservative of Manitoba will call for leadership convention. So, they will look for a new leader of the provincial Conservative Party. Para automatic yun. Kung sino ang ma-elect doon, Tito Aldous, matic yun, premier. Kasi hindi pa tapos ang term ni Pallister next year pa eh. So kung sino ang ma-elect ngayon between now and whatever date that would be, he or she will automatically become the premier of Manitoba. And who are these people? Candidates, di ba? Posible yan, Cameron Friesen, Heather Stephenson, yung mga MLA na ministers, Kevin Gertzen, pero sinabi na hindi raw. Pero may mga usap-usapan, Tito Aldous. Meron ang kailangan daw kunin na bagong leader ng conservative hindi yung mga may association with Pallister. Kasi kung gusto nilang buhayin ng Progressive Conservative Party ng Manitoba, they need to elect a leader outside the circle of Brian Pallister. Diba? Kasi hindi sa bagano, medyo masama ang dating. Kaya nga, bulong-bulungan pa, Tito Aldous. He was pushed to resign by his colleagues because the party members of the Conservative Party of Manitoba would not want Brian Pallister to compromise the image of the party among Manitobans. Kasi basa na pangalan, according to surveys, bagsak na ang sa surveys ang tiwala ng taong bayan kay Brian Pallister. So sabi ng mga kasama niya mga conservative, you should step down. Kasi hindi natin hihintayin na talagang sumadsid na yung popularity o yung kumpiyansa ng taong bayan sa partido mismo. Okay lang sa'yo, di ba? Mm-hmm. Kaya kailangan, wala ka na sa eksena. So gano'n na nangyari. Kaya siya nag-resign na totally. Pero ang kailangan diskarte rito, ang strategy, the new leader should be coming outside the circle of Brian Pallister. And who are these? Anyone who is a member of Progressive Conservative Party can throw their names, can throw their hats on the candidacy, di ba? For on the contest for leadership. Sino to? Alam niyo ba? Eto, chismis. Si Brian Bowman. Mayor natin yun.
Mayor ng Winnipeg. Yan, para magkalinawanan.
Brian Bowman. Mm. In 2011, he was touted. Touted, ibig sabihin, pinush siya ng mga conservative members to run for leadership of the Conservative Party of Progressive Conservative Party of Manitoba in 2011 after the resignation of Hugh McFadden, yung dati nilang leader. Pinush niya dahil meron na siyang conservative talaga ang affiliation ni Brian Bowman. Kaya lang hindi niya natuloy. Dahil siguro may iba siyang plano, pero merong malaking koneksyon si Brian Bowman sa Conservative Party. Nung unang niyang pagtakbo, Tito Altos, ang mga big supporters niya, yung dating premier ng Manitoba, na si Philmon, number 1 niya conservative. Tapos, yung mga mayayaman, sila Mark Chipman, may-ari ng MTS, Winnipeg Jets, di ba? Mga unlineage yan, conservative. Kaya ang bulong-bulungan ngayon sa mga barberya sa downtown, sa mga gotohan dyan sa downtown, tatakbo daw na leader ng Conservative Party, si Brian Bowman. Biruin mo. Tapos, ang timing pa, last year, a few months ago, sinabi niya, I will no longer run as, no longer seek re-election as mayor of Winnipeg. Ala natin, di ba? Tapos, nga, totoo naman. Hindi siya tatakbo. Nung pala, baka, malay natin, no? Brian pa rin yung papalit na premier. Bowman nga lang. Pagka nagkataon, nakasarap. Pagka nagkataon, Tito Aldous, if Brian Bowman will be the leader, will become the leader or the interim premier of Manitoba and the leader of Progressive Conservative Party of Manitoba, officially he will be the candidate in the provincial election next year. Mm-hmm. So Brian Bowman versus who? NDP Wab Kinuw. Mm-hmm. All right. What's the common denominator between the two candidates? Brian Bowman is declared the first indigenous mayor of Winnipeg, Métis. However, Wab Kinuw, our good friend Wab Kinuw is an Aboriginal. So what will happen to the vote of the Aboriginal people? Di ba? It will split. It may split if Brian Bowman will run or will become the interim premier and will run as the premier of Manitoba come provincial election next year. So it would be Brian Bowman versus Wab Kinuw. Mm-hmm. Brian Bowman versus Wab Kinuw, magandang laban niya.
Pero may tanong ko yan, Mel. Sino pag sakasakali yan na bakante mayor? Sino pupunta sa seat ni Mayor Bowman?
Yun ang magandang tanong. Kasi pagka halimbawa na ano siya ngayon na siya ang naging interim premier. Mm-hmm. Magkakaroon ba ng election? Snap election sa o yung deputy mayor ang upo. Hindi natin alam yung law of succession is being observed in the civic election. So, we need to know, hindi ko pa alam kung ano magiging proseso niya. So there might be a snap election in the civic level o maghintay na lang next year, or bibitinin ng ibibitin ng Progressive Conservative Party. Si Brian Pallister pa rin hanggang next year, hanggang habang naghihintay ng tapos ng term ni Brian Bowman. Pero alam na nila, di ba, kung sino ang ipapalit nila. So it's more on, in politics, timing is very important. Timing yan. Timing and popularity. Dahil hanggat sikat ka ngayon, di ba, hanggat nasa news ka at, yung alam yung background mo as a leader, as mayor of Winnipeg, so most likely meron kang pag-asa to be voted by Manitobans as a whole and not only by Winnipeggers. So we never know what will happen in civic politics and provincial politics in the coming months, but this is something that we should follow, di ba? Hindi lang tayo kwentuhan tungkol kung ano mga artista niyan. Yeah, ito magandang pag-usapan. Dahil ito, maapektuhan yung buhay natin dito sa Winnipeg. Masarap pag-usapan, di ba? If you are involved in civic and provincial election, federal matters, it's very interesting. It's more than show business. Because you can really feel what's happening. You are part of the community, di ba? Lalo na dito sa Winnipeg. May mga tatakbong konsehal dyan. Hindi natin alam. Mga tatakbong school trustee. At least we are involved in the community. So, be involved. Sabi nga namin, this program is to inform you, educate, and engage you. Nako, Tito Aldous.
10:35. Play na natin yung tatakbong mayor.
Ito po, si Kevin Klein, tumatakbong. Si Kevin Klein is a good friend of Tito Aldous and myself. However, we did interview Sean Loney, who put his name already, although the campaign is not yet starting, but he told the public that he is intending to serve the Winnipeg as mayor. So Sean Loney, to be fair, was interviewed here in our show. However, tonight we will be featuring Councilor Kevin Klein, and our segment is called Catching Up with Councilor Kevin Klein. And here's our interview, wherein we discuss different matters about the tree cutting on Roblin Boulevard and other city matters. And here you go. Let's watch and listen to my interview with Councilor Kevin Klein.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. And tonight, we are so lucky to have our good friend once again. This segment is called Catching Up with Kevin Klein, our city councilor for Charleswood, Tuxedo Westwood Ward. Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm very well, sir, and I'm the one who's lucky to be here with you. So thanks for having me again.
Yeah, you are one of the partners of the City of Pegwatch, and we are always honored to have you here. Now, I'll go straight to the point. Last week, I saw you in the news with your umbrella. It was raining, and you are mad. You were mad because last weekend, Charleswood residents, your residents were super angry about, after, waking up in the morning, seeing those matured trees cut down on Roblin Boulevard to make room for a house being moved. It's in the news, but we would like to know what's the latest on this, sir.
It's interesting, and that's such a great question. And you're right. I'm still somewhat upset about it because we haven't gotten any answers yet. And funny, on my YouTube page, I've started a daily diary that starts today. So I'm going to do a little quick video every day, letting people know what's going on inside Winnipeg City Hall. And this is one of the things I talked about because I had sent a note on Saturday about the trees getting cut down, and I did talk to a city official. I've since learned, and I've had it confirmed, that the city actually cut down a bunch of trees for this guy as well. Which, not a lot of people know that, but they're telling me at that time anyways, they did that to facilitate getting the house through, which I thought was wrong. But I've sent some pictures because I've had residents, or an email because I've had residents ask for the wood to build things for the community. I've had, obviously, I have a group of people that are ready to put the trees back. We've got an organization already to take out the stumps, and all kinds of people from all across, actually, Manitoba wanting to help out. And I sent that email off early this week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. I've got nothing back. I didn't get we're out of the office on holidays. I got nothing, no answers, nothing. And I asked them, are you going to go after this company for damages?
Okay, who should answer for this? Which department?
Well, it should be forestry. I sent the email to our brand new CAO, who was going to be different, right? He was going to change everything. Okay. No reply, and no reply from the manager of forestry. Nothing. It's very frustrating, but I'm going to keep fighting. I want those trees replaced, and I want to have a group that will take care of them, because the city's not taking care of our trees. They're just not. And if I've got residents that are ready to do it, good. Let's let them take care of them, because they're going to obviously do a better job.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to replace, because these are, I don't know how many years. These are mature trees.
Right.
It's not easy. And as far as I can recall, there was one lady who was interviewed on TV, and she explained that trees are part of the infrastructure design. It was just not there as trees, but those trees are part of the design of the infrastructure. So hopefully they will come back to you with what will happen to those movers, or what penalty should they face on that.
Yes, I agree. I hope so.
Second issue, sir. Just today, this morning, the city of Winnipeg has sent out a RFP, request for proposal, to see what developers can do with the crumbling barriers and membrane at Portage and Main. Just right here, I'm pointing it out. What is your opinion on, I know that there was a plebiscite on this, but I want to hear, and our viewers would like to hear your thoughts on the Portage and Main, not the opening, but the improvement maybe of this intersection.
Well, it's a great question, and I'm one of those type of people that believe if you want to open it up, but don't open it up and hire consultants to tell you how to open it up, because the Richardson Building has already done a lot of opening up on their side. It looks beautiful, but I don't think that that's the biggest problem. So we're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a consultant, when the real issue for people not going downtown is not Portage and Main. They have safety concerns. They have concerns, just walking on the sidewalk, but with panhandlers. The stores that are downtown are not the stores that are attracting people, because they can find stores in their neighborhoods now, or at least close by. So really, I think we're throwing good money after bad, because unless we fix those other three issues first, nobody's going to come downtown. Just because we build it, people are going to say, well, Portage and Main is open, I can cross downtown, now I'm going to go. Parking is bad, as you know. It's expensive, as you know. And I really think that we have to start thinking about these moves strategically. So if we're going to open up Portage and Main, we already know the cost is what the cost will be just to get rid of the barricades and fix the membrane. It's not that bad. We didn't want to make it political, so we're telling the public service to go ahead, even though we had a plebiscite saying no. Moman and friends are still going ahead with that. But I say, why not put the money into improving the safety, improving the quality of life for people to live downtown, and work on stores and start enticing stores and offer a carrot if you can. And as they start coming downtown, then we open up Portage and Main, as opposed to spending all that money just to hear ideas about something we already know.
Talking about downtown and its development, Portage Place, the city has granted the request of I think it's Toronto's Starlight Investment, giving them more time to secure project financing. And Starlight is seeking tens of millions in grant and loan commitments from various levels of government to break ground on the project. And I believe the city has offered a growing amount of investment through different financial mechanisms. We would like to hear your comments on the Portage Place development, sir.
Well, I think one of the things that we have to do to start improving downtown is see change and see substantial change. What Starlight wants to do is they want to build a couple of buildings, improve the mall. They want to bring residents down there. They have affordable housing ideas. They have a community center they want to build. They want to have an outside street atmosphere. It's all very nice. And I know that they're not looking for grants, but what they're looking for is loan guarantees through the government for CMHC. Not unusual in many developments that you see across the city. This is a large amount, but they have promised to pay the entire amount back. What the city gave them was all kinds of tax incentives and, building of a sidewalk money and this and that, which is actually going to end up costing us more. And if you recall, when I was on council, they were only going to give $5 million, and then it went to 10. And I put a motion forward and said, look, you have to do the whole 20, but only give them the money when it's done. Mm-hmm. And like when it's done, you can have the cash. Here you go. But because then we'll start collecting money already from the new tax base and so on. This way, I think it's good. I voted to support the extension because between you, me, and everybody else in the world, nobody else is going to buy it. It's been for sale for years. This was the only group that came forward. We can't afford to manage it as the city or the center, the Forks project. Yeah. We have to find ways to get partners. And this is a partner that wanted to do something, I think, really special downtown and start changing, as I would call the DNA, right? You're starting to change up downtown. You've got the big building going up, the glass tower going up. You've got True North Square now. You've got many things happening. And this would just bring a different entrance into downtown. Imagine the structure that they were planning. It's the same as Polo Park and the work they want to do at Polo Park. $600 million in investment in Winnipeg, and the city of Winnipeg is stalling it. These are the things that we can't do because eventually the people that want to make investments are just going to go somewhere else. Exactly. And we're not going to get it. And both those projects, my friend, would employ hundreds, thousands of people, and it would bring us a new revenue stream for years to come. So I don't know why we're not doing our part. We should be, as leaders, putting pressure on the federal government, say, hey, listen, we need this for our downtown. We need you at the table. The province has come. The city has come. We need you at the table now. There's no point in waiting anymore because as we wait, more stores close anyways. So that's what I would like to see happen.
Yes, sir. So this is my last question for you, sir. Is there anything else that you would like to share to our viewers? Anything exciting in your ward or City Hall, just as an insider, City Hall, just between you and me?
Yeah. I think that it'll be interesting to see what comes in September and October to council because, you're going to have a federal election soon. You're going to have provincial leadership. You have a lot of people and city councilors that are talking about running for mayor. Running now, there's some that are saying they want to run for the leader of the province. And for me, and I guess it's because I try hard not to be a politician, and I do come from a much different world than they all do. They all work for a politician or they work for the government. I just think it's really interesting that they would have these aspirations to go higher when we have the problems we have today. You know what I mean? It's all about voting record, and it's all about doing what you say you're going to do. So I'm really going to be interested in sitting back and taking a look at, what moves people make and what games kind of start. But I've had a number of people reach out to me to run for mayor, and it's humbling. I can tell you, it's very humbling, and I'm very grateful, and it is something that I'm seriously considering. So.
Awesome.
You're the first.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Kevin, for being part of this show again. You are one of the closest, not a good friend. I consider you a good friend.
Yes.
We will touch base again. We call this segment Catching Up with Kevin Klein, and we'll see you again next time as we talk to our good friend, Kevin Klein. Last word, sir.
Please check out my YouTube page. I put a bunch of videos up there, so it's some are fun, some are not, but it'd be fun to have some people looking at.
Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
At yun po ang ating mayor tuloy. Yun po yung si Kevin Klein, counselor ng Waverly Charles Wood Tuxedo, and where we talk about lots of things. 3 major things: the Roblin Boulevard trees, what's happening in Portage Place, and what's happening on Portage and Main development. And he mentioned about his highly considering running for mayor of Winnipeg come civic election next year. But we are all we are open to other candidates. If you are putting your names or throwing your hats on the Winnipeg mayoralty candidacy, just let us know and we can give you some time here in our show, the City of Peg Watch, the Kuya Noel and Tito Aldo Show. Ayun. Ay, so naman, Tito Aldo, yung mga negosyo natin yan.
Oh, sige po. Kuya Noel, ako yung niya sa Kapeng Barako mo na parating na natin dito.
Ay, oo naman. Yes, sir.
Thank you for sa atin. Kuya Noel, yung sponsors po natin, no? Yung mga viewers natin. Amity Sagnes, good evening. Peter Godoy, good evening. G. Aquino, good evening po. Alicia Arica, Robert Louis Bondok from Winkler, Manitoba. Will Gold, our friend, Noel.
Will Gold, Willie Dogs.
Willie Dogs. Yeah, yung mga yung mga outreach program niya, nakikita niyo sa Facebook.
Yeah.
Kasi Tristan Miles, good evening to you.
Amity Sagnes, she's watching right now, and she ran for MLA back in few years ago under NDP. She's our good friend, and she lives in Winnipeg North. She lives in this area too. So one time, Amity, we'll chat about what's happening in the neighborhood. Anything like what's happening in Garden Grove. I know that there was one group who just created a sort of a Bear Clan neighborhood watch. And ito yung producer ng mga concert, Marby.
Oh, si Marby Aguilar.
Oh, Marby Aguilar.
Yes.
And another person who is, I forgot his name, but they were in the news as well, and they just created a neighborhood watch for the Tyndall Park and Garden Grove area. Okay, so, good. Congratulations, guys. Keep it up. Ayun.
Ako itong parating na din ko, Kuya Noel, it's very interesting to. Mainit na mainit ang mga issues next week.
Yes. So next week, meron tayong, syempre, we will be able to confirm when would be the candidates forum with Kevin Lamoureux, Melissa Chang Mowat, and Anas Kazam. Those are the 3 candidates for the Winnipeg North riding come snap election on September 20. So Kevin Lamoureux just texted back to me while we're doing our show, and we will chat. I'll chat with him after this, so that everyone would know the date, and it will be online. So we don't need to go out and be in person in one place because, of course, we are still observing health restrictions. Mahirap na baka Delta o ano yung tawag sa Pilipinas? Lambada. May bago. May bago. Anyway, so we will do it online, and you will be able to know your candidates in Winnipeg North. And after Winnipeg North, we will go to Winnipeg Central. I know Paul Ong, the singer, is also running for Winnipeg Central under Liberal Party. And we will check on the other candidates in that area, Winnipeg Central. And we will check with other ridings in Winnipeg and outside Winnipeg, so that you would be able to know and you can decide who to vote on September 20 in the federal snap election.
1 month from now, right? 1 month and a half.
36 days. 36 days. To be exact, 36 days. Dito yun ang ating preparation.
Yeah.
So, bisitahin nyo again, Vote Compass.
Answer the questions. There's no right or wrong answer. And then you decide. It will help us understand what's happening in federal issues, different issues from immigration to economy to abortion to gender issue, etc. You will answer those questions based on your based on your principles, based on your culture, and based on your whatever faith or ideology. Ayos
na naman. Again, appeal lang yan. All business owners po, we're inviting you to contact us through email if you want to promote your services or yourself sa ating madlang people or to the community of Winnipeg. So we're open.
May update ako dyan, Tito Aldous.
Ay, si Noel.
Si Miss Santo Domingo, if I'm not mistaken, from RBC. She is a mortgage specialist. And I will interview her. I will record the interview tomorrow. So we will talk about mortgage issues or mortgage matters. So all questions about mortgage, like for example, what is the best interest rates nowadays, or how to apply for mortgage, or
approval,
how to get approval for mortgage, etc. And all things that you should know about mortgage. So when you're buying a house or buying anything,
refinancing, line of credit,
or getting your equity, those kind of things, very important. So we'll have that discussion aired next week. Ay, next week pala, Tito Aldous, nasa Riding Mountain tayo. Hindi ko alam kung may wifi dun.
Vancouver naman tayo, Kuya Noel.
Oo. So, malamang baka Sabado siguro tayo, Tito Aldous.
Sabado tayo. Sabado alis natin, Kuya Noel. Pwede Friday night tayo.
Mag-Biyernes night tayo. Friday night.
Special night muna tayo ng Biyernes.
Special night tayo para makover natin yung ating weekends. Kasi kami po ay nasa galaan ni Tito Aldous. Abangan niyo yung mga
Diverse Food Canada naman yan.
Diverse Food Canada in Vancouver and Riding Mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So magitan po ng mga mensahe yan at mga information na ibigay namin sa inyo. Hopefully it will help you guys a bit on your decisions before the election comes on September 20. And we hope to share this video and like our page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is called
Diverse TV Canada.
Ayun, Diverse TV Canada. At abangan niyo po si Milan and Alfonso sa Diverse Food
Canada.
Ito po si Kuya Noel.
Ito po si Kuya Aldous ninyo. Dito lang po. Kuya Noel and Tito Aldous Show, City of Pegwatch.
Maraming po salamat.
Bye guys.
Bye-bye.